Started. So my guest today is one of the top creators of the new player content for GU on YouTube, a top 20 contender in ranked weekend, and now an official Reddit and Discord moderator for Gods Unchained. And you all probably know him. If you don't, you will. This is the Professerf. Professerf, how are you doing today?
Hey, I'm good, Lion. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you fine.
Great,
Everything sounds good. Um, yeah,
great. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I'm very happy to have you on today. Very stoked to be doing this interview style segment. I think this is a great time to be talking to you. You've had a lot going on lately, I've noticed. So yeah, let's get into it though. I have my first question, and I think other people wanted this too. How did the name Professor come about?
Sure. Yeah, before I answer that, I just want to say hi to all the viewers. Thanks for stopping by Lion stream and catching the interview and watching the deck building that's been coming up. But yeah, so the username, the Professor, so that's actually, it's a little bit of a long story. It started with my experience with other games. So when I, when something catches my interest, the way I'm built is I like to learn as much as I can about it. So in previous games that I've played, for example, before I even played a game, once I hear about something and I see it's interesting, I'll just spend hours and days just reading about it, reading anything I can about it, learning as much as I can. And as I play the game, I just try to build on a knowledge base and really get as much as I can into my head about that game. So the last game that I was playing, a couple of my friends were playing with me as well, and anytime they had a question, it was something I already had asked about or learned about already. So I just explained to them what was going on, and then one of them was just like, "Geez, you're like a professor." So I think from there, I was just like, "Oh, that's kind of that's a little flattering." So I think that's where I kind of said, "Okay, that's a kind of a cool name." And then I think the difference with just the traditional spelling of professor and professor is I think the professor is so common out there, and I didn't want to really, um, going into a game, I didn't want the regular spelling. I wanted to kind of make it a little bit unique. And so the way the surf came about was really the idea of, you know, in the in-depthness and sort of bonds holding you down, and applying that to game for me was basically coming into a game. A lot of us don't know the rules. We don't know what we're getting into. It's all brand new. And so we kind of have these bonds that's holding us back from achieving our best. And so the best way to kind of push your boundaries and reach your potential is through educating yourself, whether it's asking questions, playing the game,
Yeah.
interacting with the community. So yeah, so definitely I think, I was like, okay, the professor and then professor have kind of combined those two, really focus on the angle of learning and educating myself and others to reach everybody's potential.
Nice, nice. I think that name and what's behind it really embodies what you do. You're a huge part of the community, and the one of the top resources for new players that are just getting into GU and want to know, what how to play, what decks are good for starting players. How do you make money in the game? You have videos for all sorts of stuff like that, and it's like when I started playing, I before I had talked to you, I had actually seen some of your videos on YouTube. So yeah, it's something that I used as well. I think a lot of new players come in and it's very helpful. Just I think one of the things that they're probably aware of and haven't had time to do is really improve the tutorial and whatnot. So the community taking it upon themselves to make content that helps new players understand it is fantastic, and I love everything you've been doing with your channel. So really good
Yeah,
stuff.
thank you. Yes. Yeah, thanks. Yeah, so definitely, I mean, a lot of the content that I'm making is stuff that when I was new, those were the things that I didn't know. So I was like, so the way I was just thinking was like, if I don't know this, chances are there's at least one other person that could benefit from this. So that's really what I had no intention playing getting into this game that I was gonna create content. Literally, really, I found out about the game and just wanted to play it. But then in the process of my professor tendencies and researching, I was just
Mhm.
like, wow, like, I need to, there's all this stuff that's everywhere. And it'd be great if, I could just aggregate this for people. So um, it'll be easily found by other people. So I really wanted to help the community in that way. And just one thing, real quick about the name too, that I didn't account for. It's funny because when in the movies or whatever, when the scientists or the professors coming up with the formulas, they always overlook one little thing, and it becomes like something that
Yeah.
could just blow up the formula or something, or create a lab explosion. But anyways, the F at the end. So a lot of people that don't know and they first read it, because it's just you just read it the way it's showing up as text. So it was actually Trigger Haven, the first guy. This was when I was fairly new. I had played matched up against him on the stream, and he reads my name. He's like, "Oh, the Professor F." And so from then on, it's like it became an emphasis everywhere. And then I guess I was like, "Whoa, why did he pronounce it that way?" in my head. But then when I started looking at other streamers and matching up with them, they all said the same thing. And I mean, it wasn't any kind of collusion. It was just funny because I was like, "Oh, I didn't really think of it that way." So it was just funny.
Yeah, yeah. For me, I saw Professerf, and I was thinking surf like somewhat like a servant. So I was thinking like a professor that serves the people. That was my idea on it. But Professor F also F's in the chat or something like that. But yeah,
Yeah.
that's a curious angle. I didn't think about that.
Yeah. No,
So
but definitely, it's like that's what I was looking for. Sort of like kind of what you just said. It's sort of like serving the people by by educating and sharing the knowledge.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. That brings me into my next question. I was wondering how long you've been playing GU for, and how you found the game.
Yeah, sure. So actually, fairly new compared to some of the older players that's been around for a while. I found the game early December, just 2020. So I came in pretty late from that perspective. There's a lot more new players now, but I came in early December 2020. But like I said, when I find the game, I don't start playing until I've you know read the bejesus out of it. So actually, like late November, Thanksgiving week, I had some time off. That's when I was like really going through a lot of information, a lot on the website, Reddit, etc. So that's when I started really looking into the game, and I started playing early December. I found the game because I was just starting to get into crypto. Um, Late December, I think that's when things were booming with crypto, and everybody was talking about it. So actually, my brother-in-law was the one that just texted me a message that says, "Hey, have you heard about this game?" Because he knew I was into games, but he wasn't, but he knew I was into games, and he didn't know what kind of games I was into, but he found out. I mean, he saw that I was asking him more questions about crypto, so he figured that one way to kind of get me hooked into it was to kind of show me a game where it was tied to crypto. And so I'm learning, I'm still learning about crypto now. I would say in terms of my GU experience, I'm more knowledgeable about GU and less about the crypto side. I have
Hmm.
lots of questions with, just even linking the wallets and all that stuff.
Yeah,
But yeah, I mean, if you notice, like a lot of my content is focused on gameplay because that's what I know. I mean, I won't
yeah.
even try to do other stuff because I wouldn't know what I was talking about. But yeah, that's how I found the game and just been playing for a few months.
Got you. Yeah, I was taking a look at your YouTube channel. Let me change this up so everyone can see. I think that should work here. Yeah, so yeah, I was looking at your YouTube channel. By the way, I dropped the link for Professer's YouTube channel in the chat. If you haven't yet, please go sub and check out some videos there. Great stuff. But yeah, I was looking over at about and checking out some of the information here. So it looks like you started fairly recently, but you really have educated yourself and educated others really well on the game in that time. So it's fantastic to see this new wave of players that I guess I'm kind of in this you know same wave of what's going on. But yeah, it's just cool to have this new content coming about that's helping this new wave of players come in more gracefully, and yeah, it's just a good time all around.
Yeah, and then really one of the things that got me started making my videos was I mentioned my brother-in-law that told me about the game. He's not into games, and he tried it, and he said he just got smashed. And I was like, oh, when I tried it, I mean, I had some prior experience with card games, so I was fine. And so I wanted to create some tutorials kind of not really just for him, but for new players. And so that was part of the reason why I was like, oh, might as well just make a video, because if this it was good and I loved it. I was like, if I'm going to be recommending this to other people that's not into games, then at least they could watch my video and they could make a decision from there if it's something that they like or if they'd want to try.
Yeah, absolutely. I know when I first heard about it not too long ago, I was thinking, oh, the cards are NFTs. This is such a great application of ledger blockchain technology, but is the game any good? And that was the first thing. I was like, it sounds like it's a cool idea, but is it good? And so, that's what I think a lot of players are wondering, and they want to know about how do you make money? Can you make money? Is this legit? All this stuff. So having those resources available, just really awesome. Um,
Yeah,
and
all that stuff you mentioned about NFT and ledger and blockchain. I mean, I I'm still learning that. That wasn't what got me into the game. It was just like, oh, it was basically the layman's explanation of you get to own your cards and you could sell it. I was like, oh, I could sell digital stuff. All right. And then that's when I tried the game and I was like, oh, this is fun.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's you know at the end of the day, if you came from actual physical card games like Magic the Gathering, Hearthstone just doesn't really deliver. Magic the Gathering Arena doesn't quite either. This is the first game where it's comparable to owning the cards physically, but I would say owning NFT versions of the cards is even better because playing online is something I'm sure every Magic player wishes that they had a full digital copy of their entire cards that they own that they could play online with
Right.
whoever, whenever, from wherever. And this accomplishes all that stuff. So even if you're not into crypto, all of that aside, it's just a great idea and application. So it was exciting for me for that reason as well.
Yeah, the simple explanation that you own your digital cards and everybody knows what you can do with digital. It's like, it's on your computer, on your phone, but just being able to own it, like those two coming together is just, I think it's just a great concept.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, I was gonna say, I see you've taken a big role as a guide for new players, and you've become an admin for both the Discord and the Reddit, like official stuff going on right now. My question was, is this something you've done in the past for other games, or is this the first time doing something like this for GU?
Yeah, no, actually, I always I hang out a lot on Fake Music Stream, and I always tease him how he's so much an extrovert, and because I'm 100% an introvert. I mean, in other games I've played, so okay, the last game I played was card game was Hearthstone, and I don't know how, but I ended up with one actual friend on my friend list that I still kind of keep in contact with. But other than that, like I don't really try to interact with those other communities as well. It's just something that like I'll do a lot of the researching. I'll read other people's posts, but I'll internalize a lot of that information and don't really kind of send it out. But really, something about this game is just you know, like I said, like when I was researching a game and when I was playing, and then I found out how how young the game was, how young the community was, and really the difference was when I joined the Discord and I just saw how I was asking questions in the Ask Me Anything channel because I was like literally terrified to go into general because it was just I was just like I don't want someone to like you know say something. So I was like in the Ask Me Anything channel. So but I just saw how how wrong I was, how welcoming it really was everywhere. And
Hmm.
so I was like, you know what, I need to this is great, this is positive, so I just want to kind of contribute to this positivity. And so really all the things that happened afterwards was just something um, on my part of just trying to give something back to the community to help everyone out because I just felt that that's the helping hand that I got when I first started. So it's about just building that positivity and helping everybody else out. I was actually surprised when I was asked to be a mod for Discord and Reddit. Like I said, I was just trying to be helpful and helping new players, even experienced players, as much as I can. Um, I didn't have any goals of achieving anything. It was really, I knew how hard it is when someone's new and they're trying to learn anything. It's hard when information is not at your fingertips and everybody just wants to learn and really better themselves. So all I really wanted to do was kind of be that helping hand.
Awesome, awesome. So that's cool that this is kind of your first venture into doing this officially, but you're doing a great job with it. And it's really cool that you've gotten, a nod from the uh, the community in general to become, an official Discord moderator and Reddit moderator. And just as a side, thank you very much for coming and saving me on the video post I did for Stay Play Get Paid. I posted that video thinking, oh, maybe I'll help some people that are trying to do this last minute, and I didn't realize that the official post had comments locked, and my post kind of became a technical troubleshooting thread. So one of my first comments when I woke up in the morning, because I had to work, and I was like, let me talk to the professor, and I'll get back to you. So yeah, just thanks again for coming in and answering those questions for everybody. That was really nice.
Yeah, no, it actually was good. I didn't know that the official post was locked, and so it was a good thing you actually brought it up because I saw all the comments, and at the end of the day, everybody, those new players joined GU or gave it a chance because of that, stay play get paid promo. So I just want, and then they followed the steps and the instructions just best as I can. So I just wanted to make sure that you know they get what they were entitled to. So I just wanted to really help them out, put them at ease, that making sure that if they did their part, that they don't have anything to worry about.
Absolutely, absolutely, and I'm sure everyone appreciates that. So I wanted to talk a little bit about something that many people may not be familiar with. I know a lot of people know you for your YouTube videos and answering questions a lot, but you're actually a good competitive player as well. And you recently made it to top 20 with an Oros list that was aside from one trials common an all welcome and core cards list. And I was wondering, I'll bring that up right now for people watching. And I was wondering if you wanted to talk a little bit about that experience and how you came up with this deck list.
Sure. So I think that's one of the things that I try to tell newer players or people with not as much card game experience is the best way to learn really is by playing as much as you can, but at the same time watching other players that are better than you and matching up against other players. Really, that experience just can't be replaced until you build it yourself. And so I spend a lot of time watching fake news, and the reason for that is because we're sort of on the same level in terms of card collection. He played the game. He started earlier than I did, so he has a little bit more cards. But in terms of collection, we're both in the same boat where we don't have Genesis cards, and that's a big limiter for a lot of new players. But at the same time, we both and others, there's other people in our boat in the same boat, but we've been able to make some progress with a little bit of the packs we've won from Trial of the Gods, and sort of show that we can be competitive. I mean, obviously, we're not. Genesis has a definite power add to every deck. You add a Genesis card, your deck's gonna get better. Period. That's not even a debate. But at the same
Uh-huh.
time, that doesn't mean that just because you don't have Genesis that you're gonna lose everything. So, like I said, I like watching fake news. I like his play style lines up with mine quite well. But at the same time, I watch other streamers as well to learn sort of from their point of view what they think, and I also keep an eye out on the Discord and listen to people. And the other player that sort of influenced me for this deck was Crumpy Lumpkins. So Crumpy hates light. He played light one time, did really well just to show that how broken it was. Then he keeps saying how he hates it, but he ended up playing a war deck just to crush light. And I saw how, and then just keeping my ear to the ground, I saw how well he did, and he took a different approach from Muse. Muse did the pair, Crumpy did sort of a real aggro version with the sights from Genesis. So Crumpy has Genesis cards. And so what I did was I said, okay, I don't have the pair, I don't have Genesis, but the idea of these two, I could sort of mix it together and come up with something that could work for me, and that's what I did. So Muse's war list has more tokens because he likes to take advantage of the pair, and Crumpy has sort of a taller version that takes advantage of the scythe and sort of uh, buffing that up. But what I did was sort of made it to my own collection, and what I focused on was the deadly arsenals, um, the blades of sticks, and sort of just wanted to cater the playstyle to a little bit of board control, and then sort of finishing strong with the blade of sticks and the deadly arsenals and enrage. So that's sort of the idea behind that deck. I have Panacea and Messenger in there because that's all I had. Really, ideally, um, Panacea and Messenger should be the is it the Warmonger Smith, the 2/4 that gives your relic. So at
Yeah,
that time when I had this deck, yeah, yeah. So at that time when I had this deck, I didn't have it. So I threw that in because I figured the rage burning 1 damage, so a heal of +1 would be helpful. And it worked out pretty well. So I was, right now I stopped playing this version of the deck because I've gotten other cards to replace it. But during that rank weekend, I went 22-3 for my best weekend ever, and I was around 80% win rate. But yeah, so I mean, like, and then the other thing I'm missing from this list that the other two have is a Red Fume Serum.
yeah,
I didn't
same.
have that. Yeah, yeah, I didn't have that card, but I figured it was a little bit too expensive. It's a good finisher at 5 mana, which gives a +5 to attack. But I just felt like, um, at that point, there's so many conditions. You got to have a board, you got to have all this. So I figured if I just focus on stronger minions and stronger board control early on, then I could make up for not having Red Fume Serum.
Yeah, yeah, and obviously it turned out really well. Going 22-3 is huge in top 20. That's a huge goal of mine is trying to get up on that leaderboard. And as you know, I ran a version of this same list 2 weekends ago. So I came off of a 8-win weekend in my first time playing from Mythic. It was brutal, absolutely brutal, and I was gonna D-rank down to Solar Gold. I was feeling bad about it, and I got some encouragement from Natamali and from yourself. And I went ahead and made a version of this list, and it plays really well. And Rage is such a strong ability, and it takes advantage of cards like it is really strong on Drider Sailweaver when you have something that's warded, so it can't be pinged down, giving it that bonus. And it's just a fast, fun list. I had to make some changes myself. I actually do have two Warmonger Smiths randomly, but I only have one Longship. I only had one Blade of Sticks. I recently opened another. But it's a fun list. Uh, and it's a lot of good trades on the board for my play style. It's very, everything's down on the board, and you're just thinking, what can I add to 1/2? When's the burn gonna go off? Where should I trade? And it's very like tangible for me, so I like it a lot.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, by no means is my list the best version. I mean, I think I've seen versions, maybe even you have it, that has that Amazon that regens. I forgot the name of it. The 1 mana 2/2 with regen. Spring Bloom something.
Yeah, Springbloom Hunter, the 2/2 with regen. Yeah,
Right.
I thought I was gonna see that in here. That was actually the first card I wanted to talk about. I am a huge fan of that card in Enrage.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. No, that card works as well. It just for me, for some reason, when I was building this, it didn't feel like it fit just because I wanted more sort of the aggressive cards that I have in here. But it definitely works. If people don't have the exact cards here, you could swap in and out. But yeah, I think one of the things that you're talking about is, sort of there's a lot of decision points with this deck as well. Because I remember we actually matched up randomly when you were trying out my deck and I was playing Magic.
Hmm.
And being on the other side of it, I just saw how much burst and damage potential this deck had because you actually had me beat, but then because you were still learning to pilot the deck, you
Hmm.
had made a mistake that I thought on my part that when I saw it, I was like, oh, he could have beat me, but he didn't. And so it allowed me to, to eventually stabilize and beat you. But then after that, I jumped into your stream and I kind of pointed out to you. And I
Yeah.
think, there's a difference in mentality, right?
Oh, of course, and it was something that I wasn't realizing, and I was doing so bad in the Magic matchup. But after you told me about it, and I was more mindful of it, it actually improved my play quite a bit, and I had a much easier time against Magic after that because I wasn't setting myself up for those early asterisk or, you know, I wouldn't take into consideration if I trade here. Yeah, it might be a favorable trade because I'm getting rid of my 1/1 into a 3/1, but that SIP
Right.
makes it so all my creatures die next turn. I would have had an entire another round of attacks. So I really do
Exactly.
appreciate you coming in and saying something. I'm always I leave the ego at the door. I'm just here to get better. So I do appreciate that a lot.
Yeah, because I really thought you were gonna beat me. I was like, oh, he's gonna use he's gonna give me my own medicine, a taste of my own medicine here. But then when you allowed me to ramp, I was just like, okay. I was like, all right, I'll take the win, and I'll just tell him what he did wrong
Yeah,
after.
we'll take those. We'll take those. Yeah, it was cool to run into you. I mean, I'm always a bit nervous when I run into, on ranked weekend people names that I recognize. It's usually a bad thing because they're good players. So, but yeah, it was nice to have the takeaway. I'm happy I would, lose to you and learn something from it and then be able to go win my Magic matchups after that rather than, it just be a loss with no, with me not really understanding what happened. So it was nice all around. So what was the next thing I was going to say? Oh, that's right, that's right. While we're on the topic of deck lists and on GU decks, something that I noticed the other day when I opened up GU decks is that you are now writing articles for the site, and I wanted to know, how that started and how it's been so far.
Sure, yeah. So I think in a lot of my videos, again, as I'm trying to share my videos and target new players and really teach them, and help them have access to all the information that can make them better. I refer to them a lot. I refer them a lot to, and I use a lot GU Decks. It's just I think it's one of the best um, Gods and Chains site out there in terms of
Yeah,
getting information and really using that information to improve a player's performance. So I use that a lot in a lot of my videos. And David, who owns GU Decks, it's him and Steven. But David actually reached out to me early on and was just saying, hey, thanks a lot for featuring GU Decks. If there's anything you need, just let me know. So we built a good relationship where we would chat here and there. And I honestly didn't even think about the news section because I, I like I said, I didn't come into this trying to, forcefully create content. It was just like, if things happen. But he actually approached me a couple of weekends ago, just like, hey, would you be interested in actually writing for us? And then I just said, yeah, sure, why not? And really, it's a way for me, to be able to, because not everybody's on the Reddit, not everybody's on the Discord, but I think a lot of players eventually get referred to GU Decks just because if you do a
yeah.
Gods and Change search, it pops up. And then a lot of players word of mouth refer people to GU Decks. So I figured it was a way to broaden my reach and really help the new players. And there's a lot of GU Decks that I'm still learning in terms of how to, useful information that can make yourself better. And the more I could get new players to stay longer in the site and learn about it, then the more they'll learn. So I really feel like writing that article was a win for me. It helps David out because he doesn't have to write the articles, and then it also helps out the audience and the new players because now they could see some of the stuff that I have on there, and whether it's a deck guide or it's the meta report, they can then use that to learn something if they're able to.
Yeah, I this is one of the number one resources for me. I would say my most used GU website, and it's just I'm so happy that I was told about this to begin with because it is the most valuable resource. It's so important to be able to go see what people are playing and check out your articles on here, especially you have like a new player deck spotlight here, mythic meta ranked weekend information, and yeah, it's just like all together I think this is the best use of aggregate data from GU thus far. I know there's some other sites that have things like particular card um, use rates and stuff like that, and not that those aren't useful, but this is just all around the most applicable to everyone. And so that I find it to be very valuable. And I wanted to just kind of reply to what you said about having another way to get information out. And I think that's really smart to kind of, it's like when you're investing, diversify your revenue streams, but diversify your avenues in which you can deliver information to new players. So just in case they haven't learned from or haven't come in from Twitch, or they aren't on the official Discord, or going to Reddit, they may find GU Decks from a search or be referred to it, and then you can get that information to them this way. So that's a really smart move. I think that's great.
Oh yeah, that was part of the pitch that David threw at me to have me write for him.
Yeah, well, hit the nail on the head with that one, and very excited to see your name up here. It surprised me because I'd been coming here for a while, and then I saw you start popping up, and it's good stuff. So,
Yeah, thank you.
let's see. Okay, so I wanted to talk a little bit more about your YouTube channel and videos. Um, you've had some great success with recent videos, specifically the new player FAQ, the details on the play to earn model of GU. Like, you have your 1.6K views on the new player, frequently asked questions. You have, where was that other one? 3.3K on how to earn money playing Gods Unchained. And it's great content. It's the content people want to know, need to know, and it's an honest representation of the game. And I think everyone is appreciative of that. Um, but my question about this is there's that these videos are specifically, they resound with new players, and the popularity in these videos to me seems like it reflects the recent, pre-IMX influx of players we've seen since February. And I wanted to know, what do you think the near future looks like for GU with IMX coming up?
All right. Yeah, no, that's a good question. I think so just kind of real quick about the videos on my channel. So as I mentioned, one of the things that got me started was, I wanted to help, somebody that wasn't playing a game really learn the game. And a lot of the content here was stuff that I wanted to know about. So like the Monday Mythic meta, like that started because I was a new player for all of December. I was, in bouncing around in Twilight Shadow, earning my wins, and then I would see results published, and these top Mythic players were hitting 22 wins, 23 wins, and they were getting these nice prizes. And so I I actually reached out to a couple of them back when they didn't really know me, and I was just asking. I was like, "Hey, what deck did you play? Blah blah blah," and some would spend the time to explain to me, and some was just like, "Oh, it's on GU Decks," and that's when I started going to GU Decks and finding out that you could research a player's deck history, and so I was like, "Oh, this is interesting." And so if you notice from my first Mythic meta to the newer ones now, the first ones were just like just the deck build, and then later on, as I got more comfortable with GU decks, I found out you could do like the meta reports, and then I started building in more data points in terms of like number of wins, the top 10, the number of gods. So really, a lot of this, it's the my video ideas is from me, because I still consider myself new, is stuff that I want to know about, and I figured if these are something that's interesting to me, other people probably find this interesting as well. And the same thing with the play to earn. I was like, okay, I know what drew me to the game was digital ownership and being able to make money whether or not I sell. And I figured, okay, there's probably other people that also want to learn about that. So a lot of this is basically my wanting to know more about stuff, and me just sharing it so other people don't have to go through that research process that I went through. So that's why I have like a lot of new player deck ideas, etc. But yeah, so that's sort of how my videos come about. But I think post IMX, I'm really excited on Gods and Chains future, just because I think everybody already anticipates this. IMX will allow really a huge leveling of the playing field. So we went from 1,000 players to I think 7 to 10,000 now, somewhere around there. But so that's like 7 to 10x.
Hmm.
Now, those new 6 to 9,000 players, they don't have Genesis. Well, they might have paid an arm and a leg for it now, but most of them, I would say 99% of them do not. So once IMX is out and and they now have the ability to get these cards, I mean that's going to be such a huge leveling of the playing field. I mean,
Yeah.
obviously skills will play into part, but I could honestly say a person with the same card skills, whether they're good or they're not good, but if you give them Genesis cards, they will see an improvement. Period. Um, they're just strong cards.
Yeah.
Obviously, go ahead.
I was just gonna say I agree with that. Um, you know, kind of something that I've seen when you're making iterations of the top decks on GU decks. I know this is something you've mentioned and something I've personally seen when I do this as well. You kind of have to understand that you're going to be losing a little bit of win percentage because you don't have cards with the same amount of value. Like what the card does for the mana price that it has is just superior in a lot of the Genesis cards printed. So yeah, just being able to have access to that as well is going to make things much more interesting. And it's it's a good thing for new players, but it's also a good thing for Genesis holders because they can finally capitalize on all those cards that they bought, which really helped get the game off the ground. So
Yeah, definitely. I mean, like I'll look at somebody that did really well over the weekend while I'm doing my Monday Mythic meta analysis, and I'll see their deck list, and then I'll try to build something similar because I want to see how it runs. But obviously, I don't have Genesis cards, so I'm like, oh, okay, they have a Pyramid Warden. All right, I guess I'm putting in a Wild Hog. So it's like it doesn't even compare, but it's like the best we have. So it's good that then something you'll find something that will work because it's just what you have, and you kind of just build the best house you can with the tools that you have. But I
yeah.
think, yeah, definitely, I'm super excited with IMX coming out. I've been free to play most of the time. I mean, up to now, actually, I'm free to play. But once IMX comes out, I do have some cards I want to pick up, and you know, we'll see how that goes. And I'm sure everybody has a list of what they're looking forward to finally have. And it's going to be the usual cards that they've seen and they're that they currently hate right now. Just funny, the other day on on Mudman's stream, he was talking about how the first time he bought Demogorgon, he was just like, yeah, I held out for a while, but when I bought it, you hate that card, but when you play it, it's pretty good. And I was just like cracking up because it's like, everybody that doesn't have it hates it, but then once you have it, you're like, I'm playing that.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. It's funny. I bought, as this some people know, I bought one Demogorgon, like as the prices were just rocketing up. I was able to grab one off of OpenSea, one of the last
Right.
ones that was listed for like 0.09 ETH, and then it soon doubled afterwards. So I have one. I don't have the play set, which is unfortunate because the best thing to play after Demogorgon is Demogorgon, due to the nature of the way the card works. Let me drop a little for those of you who don't know. Yeah, I think most people. I think. Oh, that's not the right one, but um, yeah, Demogorgon basically it puts all the opponent's cards to sleep, and then it deals 3 damage to a randomly sleeping enemy creature at the end of turn. And so the next turn when you play another one, those creatures will all go to sleep, but that card's ability happens twice from both of them. So just really almost impossible to come back from with the leech, depending on on uh, on what's going on the board state.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I'll admit it. There's been times when I've played an opponent with Demogorgon and they follow with another Demogorgon, and I just, in my head, I'm like, all right, I'm gonna concede now, or maybe a turn later. But I already know, like, okay, that's it. That's the end of this game.
Yeah, you know me. I always play mine out until I'm positive that I cannot win. I have to have no cards in hand, be top decking, and they need to have like over much like far outside of lethal. But I do feel you. Sometimes it's rough. Um, so let's see. What did I have after that? Oh yeah, I by the way, I kind of I forgot to ask you about the Monday Mythic meta a little bit earlier, but since you mentioned it, as people that follow the channel know, usually on Mondays we do a react segment to the Monday Mythic meta videos, um, and it's something that I just wanted to reflect on what you were saying about since you're taking the time to do it, you're sharing it. I love that so much, and I think that that's a place where content for an emerging game like this, there's a spot for that. So anyone else that's interested in content creation, that's the type of stuff that you want to look for because it's if you're already spending the time doing it, think about how interesting it is to you. Other players probably feel the same way, and sharing that, it just gives everyone something to go check out that's going to save collectively the whole community time, and can end up getting you a spot on either Twitch or YouTube. So always something to keep in mind. It really is beneficial to you and everybody else. It's great.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I mean, like I said, I started the Monday Mythic Meta because after I would see the results, I was just like, who are these top players? What deck are they playing? And can I play that as well? I mean, everybody at the end of the day wants the best results, right? I mean, and if we see someone did well, we want to know how they did it and what they did it with. So since I was already doing that, I was already looking at these players. I was like, let me just put all these together and share it because I know people want to know. And again, I'm a big I'm big on equality. Like I like everything to be equal.
Hmm.
So so when I see it, when I know some players don't know about geodeck, some do. So I figured, okay, if I could share this information out there, and then every player has access to the same information, then then at least it's somewhat a fair playing field. So that's one of the things. But I think
Agree.
it's a strength and a weakness for me, is because I'm big on fairness, and sometimes you can't really get fairness. But that's for me. I just feel like I really want equality in terms of access. So that's why I think IMX is going to be huge, because now one of the driving principles of the game, trading and selling and buying cards, is now going to be available again to a lot of the newer players. And the other thing about the way I created these videos is I didn't used to talk to other players, but my first one was with ISBN on an interview, because
Hmm.
when he went 25 and 25, everybody was buzzing about it. They were like, "Oh, that was great, but oh, he played control ramp magic." It was like a lot of speculation, and I was just like, "This is silly." I mean, we're a small community. I bet we could ask him, you know,
Yeah.
just what happened. So I reached out to him. I just reached out to him. I had chatted with him here and there, but nothing. We weren't like best friends. So I just reached out to him. I'm like, "Hey, great job on your 25, 25. I think a lot of people will be interested to know how you did it." And he was like, "Yeah, I'll spend some time with you." So again, that's one of the things where I myself wanted to know how he did it, what was he thinking. So, and I figured other people probably would like that as well.
Yeah, funny enough, that's essentially how these interview segments started as are starting. This is only the second one, but I'm just, I'm interviewing and asking questions to people that I'm curious about, like Not Amali was I was kind of after the tournament when I was like, this Not Amali character, like always so helpful, got third, but nobody talked to Not Amali. I was like, I'm gonna interview Not Amali. And then for you, as like such a pillar is interviewing other people, I'm going to interview Professerf. So I think my focus on who are the people's champ, but who are the people that are enabling newer players that are mostly free to play to achieve high levels of success, or who are new players that are mostly free to play that are achieving high levels of success, and featuring them on this channel because I only started a month ago, and my goal here is to compete at the highest level I can with what I have. I don't although sometimes I mostly jokingly I can complain a little bit about how powerful Genesis cards can be. I don't. You'll see. I don't scoop when something gets played. I'm thinking, what can I do to compete at this level? And so being able to look up to you and Natamali and Fake Muse, who are showcasing that you can compete at top level without Genesis cards is just something I wanted to feature here. So I hope everybody else enjoys that, and it's something that they value about our group that's kind of forming here. Um,
Yeah, definitely. And we got lots of other players. I think you mentioned Devoted. There's a lot of, and then
yeah,
there's a
devoted.
bunch of more new players coming up. Yeah, so there's definitely a good movement where people are more informed. They're building better decks with what they have, and they're making a case that Genesis is good, but at the end of the day, a player can still have a fighting chance. But yeah, so I think that's great.
Yeah, yeah, and just to reiterate, I said group, but I don't want to make it feel like it's like exclusive or anything. It's just just people that are encouraging of the new players and that are willing to take the free to play decks and go to the top with them. So it's just cool because it's so encouraging for new players. I know that this is the first place that you as players were the first place I looked to be like it can be done. I want to do that too. So I think setting that example that it's possible is fantastic, and it's great for the health of the game. So, um, oh, so I actually never got to the end of that question. My question for you surrounding the YouTube channel was: is there any other new content that you have in the works that you're excited about that you could share?
Well, I think for me, it's really as something new comes up within the game or the community, and makes me go, I want to learn more about that. I think that's going to be the driving force of where the content that I have. I mean, I'm not really trying to, break the YouTube algorithm here or go viral. My point really is, what do I want to know about and how can I help other people learn more? And that's really the basis of all of my videos. Um, if people find it helpful, then the numbers will follow. But really, I'm not trying to, come up with the next, viral video. I just want to be able to say, okay, IMX is coming. What can I learn about it? Oh, you know what? I know before IMX came out, there was a play to earn model and Forge and Fusing was closed down. But hey, I remember when I was researching the game, there was an article from about Caution Fun. So that's when I reached out to Caution and I was like, hey, when I was first joining the game, I read your article about play to earn. Do you want to spend some time talking about it? And he was like, yeah, definitely. So I guess in terms of new content coming up. Um, I'd like to say that once IMX comes out, a lot of it will be focused on IMX and sort of how the landscape changes once we have more access. Everybody has more access to these cards. The other thing that like I said, like you said, actually, I'm pretty active on with the community. So a couple new players have reached out to me and asked for more deck videos. I used to do a lot more with the welcome set and the free to play videos, but that kind of dropped off as I got busy with other stuff. But I received a couple comments and requests, so I'm probably new content in terms of new content. I'm probably gonna put out a couple more videos on just decks that I play since they're still fairly free to play, just to give people more variety.
Awesome, awesome. Yeah, I one of the things I've kind of struggled with in that area is outside of Oros or Iona, how can I actually build something with Wellcore that can compete? So that's something I would be interested in seeing. I guess it might be the cards I've opened to. I think that Light somewhat relies on legendaries, um, and
Yes.
and it's almost like I think whatever you get the kill cards for, um, I think that nature, gets Canopy Barrage, which is a common, whereas you need for deception you need Hunting Trap, and for death
Yeah.
you need what is it, Blight Bomb? And I think Blight Bomb's actually a common. I just haven't opened a single one yet. So
Yeah, so I think that's where it makes sense. Where if I offer different gods, at least people can then choose what they have collections for. Because I mean, my free
yeah,
to play Zoo Forge deck was pretty popular, but then I'll receive comments where someone, for some reason, doesn't have a lot of the nature cards,
yeah.
and they're just like, hey, I can't build your deck. So then at least having different options, gives people a better chance to play a deck where they're not going on a big losing streak, that they could actually win and have some fun.
Yeah, absolutely. So I have one last question for you before we get into our deck building segment and a little bit of coaching.
Sure.
And the last one I have is, there's a lot of new players right now that are looking for ways to reach top ranking. And is there any single most important piece of advice you would give them?
Well, I don't know if I could give a single advice, just because I mean it's really a multiple step approach to get better. And I would first stop there and say, why do you want to reach top ranking? Are you just trying to? Is it a personal goal just to get to Mythic? Because my personal experience is that December when I first started, I tried to rank up to Mythic and I did it, but then that first weekend, kind of like how you said you got 8 wins. I mean, I got stomped too, and I was just like, okay, I've shown myself that I could be competitive with this deck, but it's not, it's not super consistent in terms of what I can do. So eventually, instead of focusing on top ranking, I focused on true ranking. True ranking meaning, what does your collection dictate where you should be? Because um, some players might be missing quite a few cards, and the best deck they can put together might be gold level. And there's nothing wrong with that, because everything is time and resource. So the more time and resource you put into the game, the better you will get. And so if you don't have that much time and resource to build that collection, then yeah, be happy with where you're at. So I would say really understand why you want to reach top ranking. If you can, definitely go for it, because the prizes at Mythic is better. But again, I'd like to say, you know, really, I would say focus more on your true ranking. And then once IMX comes out, then you could then focus on top ranking. But if whether it's true ranking or top ranking, I would say the single piece of advice is really, I'll say two. One is have fun, enjoy what you're doing. If you're losing a lot, take a break or try to learn more. And two is really the community. I think honestly, we all say it, but we all really mean it. It's the streamers, the Discord, the Reddit, the GU team themselves. That this is why I'm doing what I'm doing is because of the community. Um, like we talked about earlier in the interview. I was I wasn't really big on community stuff prior to this game, but there's just something about the game and the community that I found that I was just like, you know what, I want to be part of this, and put my positivity and help build up the community and lift everybody else up.
That's awesome, and I totally agree. I think that's one of the things that drew me in so quickly to this game, and has been just instrumental in giving me motivation to continue to stream. Is just how awesome the community is. Being able to meet all these people that are passionate about the game, that are supportive and kind to each other. I don't run into people that are just being rude almost ever here. It's people are all here to help each other and want to get better or just want to hang out, and it's just so much positive vibes. I absolutely love it. So I feel you on that completely.
Yeah, no, it's great. It's great.
So next we are going to be doing some deck building and coaching, as kind of is the format for what we do here. And we talked a little bit about this before on what we were going to focus on, and kind of decided that it would be fitting for us to take a starter version, like more of a well core focused version of a nature deck, and it may be like a zoo forage, because it's kind of funny. I think that when I first started playing, I had found your video on zoo forage, and that's what I pushed up to about gold with. And then I was trying to do my free to play to mythic challenge, and that's where Natamali helped me revamp it, and I was able to reach mythic for the first time. But it just seems somewhat fitting that since I used that list to make my initial push, that we build something like that.
Sure, that sounds good. Yeah, definitely. So the Zoo Forge deck was, I would say, my grinder deck when I first started back in that December. The good thing about the point of the deck is really to use budget and cheap cards to go through fast games, get wins as well. But really, the goal is to just, quantity. You want to pump out quick games. You're going to be winning too because it's competitive. But really, you want to pump out as much games as you can, earn that XP, and really get that core pack. So GU system is really, to me, it's really generous. You're getting a core pack every level, and every level doesn't even scale. Like I've seen other players at level 1000 something, and it takes the same amount of XP and wins for them as someone that's like you at level 75.
Yeah,
So I think it's really generous that everybody's getting a pack every level. And not only that, every 25 levels, you get an upgrade to a legendary pack. So it's like, and then the core cards are actually really strong. So
yeah.
to me, I was just like, you know what? I need to take advantage of this system. I don't know if they're going to revamp it. Don't do it yet, guys. But
Don't do it. We
yeah,
love it. Keep it.
yeah, don't do it, don't do it. But yeah, to me, it was just really the goal. My goal at that first month was just to level up and get those packs.
Yeah, and I think that's a really good approach. I know one of my mods and someone, if you follow my channel, Dak. That was his approach, and he's like twice my level. He didn't focus on trying to push to mythic or anything of that sort. He just played a lot of games and played them quickly. So yeah, that's a great point. So whether or not, I think this is a good in between, whether or not you want to push up higher rank or have something that's competitive, or just get games over with quickly to unlock those packs. This list should be able to do both of those things pretty well, and it's going to be very friendly for new players. And another thing we talked about focusing on is cards that you may not have that we choose. We'll talk about what the best alternatives for the one drops, two drops, etc. will be, so that you'll have a good idea of how to make this type of list yourself.
Yep, sounds good. Let's get to it.
All right, so let's jump into it. We're going to go ahead and open a new deck of Aona, the Goddess of Nature. And we'll start with, well, go ahead. I'll let you take the lead here.
All right, sure. Yeah. So this is a zoo deck. So by definition, for those that don't know, a zoo deck means one, it's cheap, meaning that you're not really throwing a bunch of legendaries in there. Another definition for zoo deck is that it's a low curve, meaning a lot of your creatures, almost maybe even 100% of the deck is just low cost creatures. And the goal of that is you are trying to spam the board with your creatures, overwhelm your opponents early on, and maintain that control while you're pushing damage into the opponent. And then at some point in the game, you're transitioning to just face damage. So it's an aggro deck. It's aggressive, and the way it works really well. The reason why it works really well with nature is because of the Forge God power. I know Animal Bond spawns another creature, Leech Life, allows for board control, but really Forge is the key here because you're running such a low cost deck that Forge, it's so random, but it can give you great cards that it complements your low cost minions. So let's say it's turn 5 and you only have 2 1 mana cost creatures in your hand. Well, then you're going to end up with, possibly 4 or 3 mana left. And if you had Forge the turn before or even the beginning of that turn, and it gives you, like a lightning strike or a 3 mana creature, then it just complements your hand, and helps surprise the opponent. So that's why
Yeah.
I like the go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna say, and it just gives you access to draw upon cards that you don't have yet. So instead of
Yes.
trying to make a deck idea that you don't have the cards to fully flesh out, you can take early board state aggressive style to try to take control of the game, and then rely on forage, or get have forage supplement the ability to finish the game or give you tools that you otherwise wouldn't have. So it's a good way with a limited list to compete.
Yes, that's correct. Yeah, and as a new player, you're not going to have a lot of the cards. So if you're foraging, you could definitely surprise your opponent and actually help yourself when you pull, a card that you normally don't have, like a Dionysus or like a Wildfire or something. Yeah, there's definitely some RNG to it, but for the most part, Forge in its current state gives you pretty good cards.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. The only one I ever get that I really uh, is the bane of my existence is the one that destroys all the one and what is it, 1 and 2 costs in your deck. I'm just like,
Yeah,
why? No.
no, yeah. Yeah. When you get that with this deck, it's pretty much just a dead card in your hand. But yeah, let's go ahead and build it. So I think, like I said, the key is low cost creatures, and you want these creatures to be sticky, meaning they stay on the board and they're able to trade. So Marshwalker is a really good card. It's a core rare, so it might be hard to get, but again, every level you get a rare pack, so you have a good chance of pulling the Marshwalker. Card Shark's pretty good as well. For 1 mana, you're spawning 2 minions, and one has frontline, so that's a good way to expand the board.
Did you want to
Scroll
go
down a little bit, please.
two on each of the things you say, right?
Yeah, yes. So you also want to go double of each copy as much as possible because that just adds to consistency. Meaning, you're throwing in these cards for a specific reason. So having 2 of them is better than having 1 of them because you want to be able to pull these cards when you need them. So also, the Drider Sailweaver is good. So get 2 copies of that just because it's a decent stat. It's not the best. 2/2 is not the best, but it's decent. But it has the ward. So just having that ward, which is a protection against spells from your opponent's spells, that's pretty important. The Shield Bearer is good. Shield Bearer is basically a 2/2, but it gives this 1/1 stat to another creature. And then the name of the game early on is making good trades. So if you're able to control where that extra 1/1 goes to allow for a good trade for you, that's pretty strong. And I like the Tomb Torchbearer because the protected next to it, yeah, the protected is really good to allow you for trade. So the Tomb Torchbearer is there for trading. You could throw it on early on, and then you could follow up with a good turn 2 play to allow for good trades. Scroll down a little bit.
One
Okay,
one
there we
thing that
go.
got
Yeah, so
mentioned in chat was the combo of best friends with Card Shark. Is that something we would want to run in this, or what are your thoughts?
yeah, I think if you don't have any other option, you could throw that in. So the only reason I don't put best friends in my initial list is because you want consistency. So best friend has a worst case scenario. worst case meaning you don't have anything on the deck on the board, and you play it and you get a. I don't remember if it spawns the 2/1 first or the 1/2, but you don't want to be in a position, especially when you're running low cost minions that needs to have value. You don't want to shoot yourself in the foot and then pull a best friend at the wrong time. So
Yeah.
best friend is a good card to get supported, but really the point of this one is you want to be consistent. And you're looking for consistent cards, and I think best friend is good, but it's not consistent for this deck. The tribal orc, well, as I talk about consistent here, so so the tribal orc relies on you having a board state. Otherwise, it's a 2/2, but it's a little bit consistent in a way that you have other minions already that's a 2/2, and it's hard to really get other creatures with good stats on 1 mana with just core and welcome. So tribal orc is a 2/2, but with an upside of 3/2. So I think it's definitely worth it.
Okay, we'll throw those orcs in, and
And
then
then
is hog
that's
going in?
about 12. Yeah, yeah, definitely the wild hog. We'll throw our budget pyramid warden in there.
Yeah, I always think of for me skeleton heavy as pyramid warden, but skeleton heavy is also just skeleton heavy. It's such a strong card, probably one of the strongest cards. So, but
Yeah,
yeah,
and definitely, I think a case can be made for best friends. I know chats has their opinion, and I totally agree. If you feel best friend is worth it, throw it on there. I just feel like best friend works better when you're running a deck with animal bond because you could always guarantee an extra creature on the board. But yeah, no, definitely nothing against animal bond. I mean, sorry, best friends.
all right. So are we moving into 2 drops now?
Yeah, so you want about half your deck, 14 cards in 1 mana, the other half 2 mana. So Canopy Barrage, like you were talking about earlier, is really good. It helps you fight for the board early on.
Yeah,
Black
it's.
Jaguar. Yeah, go
Sorry, I
ahead.
didn't mean to take that out, but I was gonna say, yeah, it took me a while to get my second canopy barrage. I know some players get that early, some never get, it takes them quite a while to get that second one, but just such a strong card. Even with the 50-50 chance, being able to deal 4 damage this early is great.
Right. And the Black Jaguar is like an almost auto include in all nature decks just because 2 mana 3/3. That's pretty good.
Yeah, the regen is huge. It's like this has to be basically removed all in one turn because if you let that regen go off, it's just your the opponent their value's diminishing. It's gonna take them more cards to get rid of it. So
Yeah. So Nana Mali is asking about Vihir V's 25 out of 25 deck. Yeah, so yeah, you're right. It's definitely a different curve deck, but I think for most players, um, they 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 would want both Skeleton Heavy and Jaguars, just because if you look at Vihir V's deck, he ran a 4 mana Agridor Protector, which kind of makes up for not having a solid 2 mana creatures. But in this deck, and I think for most players, if they're missing, yeah, on the brush board also, yeah, if they're missing that big stats on turn 2 and they don't have a turn 4 to make up for it, because like most players with running a mid-range deck, turn 4 for us is like a Briar, a Rhino, or a Wetlands Ogre. Those are all good cards, but Agridor Protector is also a great card. So if you're missing, if you have a hole in your 2 mana slot and you don't have a strong 4 mana to back it up, you could find yourself behind on the board. But yeah,
yeah,
let's go back to the deck. So yeah, then you want to put your usual other ones as well. You have your Skeleton Heavy,
yeah. Let's
um,
see. Skeleton Heavy's going
Standard
in.
Axewoman.
Axelman's
Yep.
going in.
So the other two that I add, because this is a zoo type deck, again, the idea of a zoo type deck is you have cheap creatures that you could buff to make efficient trades with. So that's why I added Felid Janissary, which gives it's like a shield bearer but a little more expensive. So the Felid Janissary is there to allow your turn 1 play to be able to trade better on turn 2, and then the Eagle Nobleborn is again
Mm.
just right next to it, Eagle Noble.
Oh, here, got it.
Yes, so that one that +2 strength allows again for trading. So those 2 cards are there for trading. And when I say curve, I'm talking about the cost of the deck. So depending on what kind of deck you build, if you're building an aggressive deck, your mana curve, which means your the majority of your cards, the mana cost will be lower. If you're playing a mid-range deck, which means you're playing cards from 1 mana all the way up to 6 or 7, your curve is more spread out, meaning you'll have, sort of like a level curve. Um, and it's called a curve because if you look at these cards on a graph, there's bars that represent how many cards on each mana cost is. And then, you could kind of make out a little bit of a curve there. And if you're playing a control deck, which is very heavy on high mana cost cards, that's called a high curve because you'll see that the early portion of the deck is fairly low, and then towards the end, the higher cost cards, the curve goes higher and the bars go higher, so the curve, it's a higher curve deck.
Yeah, I brought up a GU Dex for him to kind of
Okay.
show a visual of what you're talking about while you said it too. So hopefully that helps. So I
Okay,
only
go.
have
Can
I
you
only
click into
oh go ahead.
one? Oh, you only have one.
Yeah, I only have one
Okay.
eager nobleborn. I do not have the second one. Do you still want
All right,
to
no
run that
problem.
here?
Yeah, run one is fine. And then
Okay.
again, so the deck list that we have is by no means final. Um, Again, the definition of zoo, it's, low curve and budget. So you could definitely um, substitute, and it's flexible. You could do whatever you want with it. But let's go ahead and put 2 Staff of Roots first, and then we'll look for a replacement for Nobleborn. So we'll keep the replacement at Welcome or Core because that's what this deck is sort of the theme of it.
Hmm.
So a consideration is Panacea and Messenger is okay. It's a decent 2/3 stat. Um, you can scroll up and let's look at other cards. Let's talk about other cards as well. Scroll up a little bit more. You can go to the top of the twos. We can start there. All right, so we don't want the spell because we want a creature. So the first one to look at would be, that Balthasar, but we don't want a legendary because, like I said, some people might not have access to that. And that's actually worth considering if you think about it. It's a bad stat line, but if you could get it down and get a forge for 1 mana and it sticks on the board for a couple turns, that could get value on that.
Yeah.
But again, we're looking for a replacement for the Nobleborn. Um, a case can be made for the Wicked Fae, but the problem with Wicked Fae is that it spawns a token, and you don't want too many tokens in this deck because you're foraging. So foraging means you have to manage your void. You always have to keep an eye on your void and have 4 or less cards, so that way you get a card back into your hand. So once you start throwing too many tokens, which is the case against best friends, it gets harder to manage your board when you don't know, when you're spawning tokens and then now you're like, okay, last turn I had 0, now I have like 6 in my void. So that's one of the considerations that made me not include best friends in this deck was I wanted to manage the tokens. Go
Yeah.
ahead and scroll down. Yeah, Nightblade could be okay, but again, that's like situational. Nightblade's a roll up.
Uh,
Yeah, so
oh.
situational.
Hmm.
Dark Maniac's too random with its effect, so I wouldn't consider that one. But again, if that's all you have, you could put it in. Um, the Adventurer is too weak, 1/1 for draw a card. We're not really too concerned about that. Again, the War Maiden is again, it's spawning a token. Um, the Veteran is worth considering. The Aging Veteran, the +2 health, it can be pretty good to make a good trade, so that's a consideration. The Priest, no, because you don't really care about your health, your own health. The first bow, that could be a consideration as well. It's decent stats and it does a 1 mana, one ping damage. The front line 3/2, I would say no because the stat line is if it was a 2/3, it would be worth considering. And the reason 2 health on 2 mana is not worth it is because you'll see that a lot of our 1 mana creatures had 2 attacks, so you could easily lose value where a 1 mana creature from your opponent trades into your 2 mana creature. So you don't want that to happen because that's what you're trying to do to your opponent.
Yeah. Yeah.
Amazon, yeah. So Amazon Spear Soul, same thing. We don't want that 2 health. And then again, the last one is Panacea and Messenger. So really, it's a toss up between the Messenger or the Aging Veteran. In this case, let's go with the Messenger just because it has a better stat line of 2/3.
Yeah. I agree. I think that's a good play here. That
Okay.
brings us to 28. We may want to revise this a little bit because I do think with playing zoo like this, we want to have some sort of finisher. And I know sometimes that's we kind of have a list of cards that can be either jump on, sing song, satyr, or firewine, which we can talk about. But what are your thoughts here?
Yeah. So the original deck that I used, um, Sing Song Satyr was my finisher because I found that most of the time I had a decent board, at least three creatures. If you have three creatures on the board and you get to 4 mana and you're playing a satyr, you're getting value already. So
Hmm.
my original version, I used a satyr as my finisher. When I didn't have two satyrs, I had one, and then I threw a wetlands ogre as my other one. Um, Jump on, I feel like it's decent, but I'd like the buff to happen to more creatures.
Yeah,
So it's a replacement, but I prefer the Satyr over it.
yeah.
And
This
Firewine, yeah,
Go ahead.
go ahead.
I was just gonna say this jump on is basically your most budget version of having some sort of like it gives your creature 3 strength and then overkill, so you can use it to clear a lot of the other creatures off the board. You can take like your lowest um, health creature or something that is going to end up you're okay with trading and clear a lot off the board while then keeping your other creatures to continue to hit face. Or there's it's a good against a lot of lower health creatures on the other side of the board, but the idea is having something that's going to pump a creature for additional damage. While this isn't the best option, it is available to newer players, so it might be worth using until you get one of the other options we're talking about.
That's correct, exactly. Yeah,
And
so for now, since you do have two satyrs, you could throw that in. And Firewine is also good, but I don't like that it costs 5 mana. In this deck, sometimes what you'll find is you're barely hanging on. You want to be able to just pump that damage at turn 4 and turn 5. And sometimes if you don't get Firewine, or if you get Firewine too early, it's just sitting in your hand. Um, so there's definitely a case to be made for Firewine, but to me, I like to play this deck a little bit more aggressively and faster. So that's why I like the turn 4 buff instead of, and then it comes with a body, a body meaning a creature you could put on the board versus the Firewine. Firewine's a great card. It works, but I just prefer a minion buff than a spell buff
yeah, I agree.
for
Getting the
this deck.
body
Yeah, for this deck.
Yeah, getting the body down too is just beneficial. So yeah, the idea here is we have a ton of 1 and 2 costs to just go wide. That meaning play a lot of creatures, try to max out your board, and just keep hitting face and be able to win the game quickly and take control of the board state quickly. And then if we already have all those creatures out, that's going to give huge value to Sing Song of Satyr, which gives every other friendly creature +1 strength permanently when you play it. So yeah, just you can if you max the value there, you're getting 5 more strength on the board from playing this card. So you could think of it effectively as in its max value like a 7/3. It's not an exact translation, but that's the power you're getting. Queuing
Yeah,
is
and
down.
really, again, I want to reiterate, like with this deck, it's you're looking for speed, and you're looking to get as many games as you can, and your concern really is finding out, getting a jump on your opponent, winning as fast as you can, or if you lose, that's fine. Then just queue back up. Like this is one of those where you just shake it off and go to the next one. I like to call it like kind of like an all-in deck. You're going all in. If you lose, you just jump back in, get back to it, and then over time you'll see the win rate is definitely a positive win rate for this deck. The only thing too is that this deck is super flexible. I've had many new players contact me that said they use this deck as a sort of like a guide or a build to initially start, and then they make their tweaks depending on their play style. But what I find is a lot of players connect with the zoo build just because it's a fun, fast way to play.
Absolutely. I just wanted to say fake muse rating with the party of 8. Thank you very much. Good to see you all. Welcome, welcome. We are currently doing an interview with the professor or well, we just did an interview with the professor and we're now making a zoo free to play friendly deck list that we were hoping to play. I am seeing some people saying queuing is down. Is that the case right now?
Oh, let's try it out. Let's find out.
Yeah, so I think this is a list we're going with. So just to reiterate, we're throwing Marshwalkers, Card Sharks, Drider Sailweavers, Shield Bearers, Tomb Torch Bearers, Tribal Orcs, and Wild Hogs. So a lot of the more valuable one drops that are available to us in Welcome and Core. And then in the two drops, we're going double Canopy Barrage, Black Jags, Skeleton Heavies, Vanguard Axlemen, staples for pretty much every list. These two. Then Field Janissary, a single Eagle Nobleborn, and a Panacean Messenger, as we don't have two Eager Nobleborns, and then two Staff of Roots. And then we're going to be trying to buff those with Sing Song Satyr to take a dominant position to finish the game. So we're looking with this list to have something that it might not have the highest win percentage out of anything we could make with the cards we have, but it's going to play the games quickly and it's going to unlock you a lot of core packs. And it is still a good list. It's probably the best way to win while also getting your games done quickly and getting as many packs as possible. So I'm going to go ahead and rename this. Just do Professerf Aggro, save that, and select. So it looks like, okay, let's just try to queue and see what happens. We might have to check there's a new balance bundle rolling out, says Meals. So queuing is down. Okay.
Oh.
Yo, and let's see. And I'm seeing Android continuing the gift sub they got from Tim. Thank you very much, yo. Yeah, I'll pull those numbers back up. I always have the win loss. I need to clear that out. It's a staple here. We always have our win loss up, and then pull my subscribers back up. I did just want to have that stuff off for while we were doing that interview. But yeah, the support's been great. Thank you very much for everyone that subbed. We're up to 39. Our goal is 50. We're trying to, if we can reach that by April, we're going to be getting a camera set up. And just have a bunch of good stuff planned for the future. Let's see. Let's try to queue anyways. I think let's go read the Discord and see what is going on. I guess we have community management in the chat, so we can just ask. Okay, should be done soon, Meal said. So yo, Natamali continuing the gift sub they got from Gaston. Thank you very much, Natamali. Appreciate that. Matchmaking is being re-enabled now. We got the news from Meals. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Thank you.
Oh, they're doing some balance for the Trial of the Gods cards. Interesting.
Can I?
Shadow of Lethanon.
Shadow of
Hopefully.
Oh my gosh. I haven't even
Hopefully.
got my second one. Gonna nerf it, then I'm gonna open a diamond. I know it. Let's see.
We'll see.
Yo, thank you for the bits there, Natamai. Appreciate it. Is that too high up? Whoops, I am moving everything. Not mean to do that. Where is that notification alert box? Is that too high up? Yes, it is. Awkward. Okay, we'll put that back down there a little bit. So yeah, I wonder, is there a place we can read this? Have they done, let's see, status updates, balance update incoming, but no news on what the balance update is yet?
I haven't seen it.
Okay. Well, hopefully we'll see what that update is soon, and we can. Okay, notes aren't up yet. We'll be able to discuss that a little bit live, and play some games.
Let's see. I think Meal said matchmaking is re-enabled now. So
Being
let's
re-enabled. Okay, let's
we can
try
give
it.
it a try. Yeah.
Ooh, we're in the queue. We are
Let's
in the
go,
queue. Looks like
Mudman.
we're in the game. All right, let me share this with you. I'm gonna have to switch over in between games the way that this works. Share my go. Let me know if that updates for you, Prof.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see it. Captain Barge.
All right.
Right.
So we're going to be taking forage. This is what we were talking about earlier. Remove 4 random cards from your void, and if your void is empty, you add a random nature card to your hand.
So the Jaguar's a keep. This is actually a great starting hand for going second. You might want to consider an Axewoman, but I think the way it is now, this is pretty good starting hand.
Yeah, I like it. I like it. I think
But
with a Drider,
yeah,
having a shield bearer for it's good, or maybe even shield bearing the blackjack, depending on what happens. This seems nice.
yeah, exactly. And then your opponent has Leech Life, so having the Sail Weaver in the opening hand is a good counter against Leech Life.
Good luck.
Yeah, we'll take
Best
it.
of luck.
We'll take it. So what are you thinking for the turn 1? Do we want to throw the
So seeing that they started with the Marshwalker, I'm already thinking Jaguar because we are going second and we have 3 bags of tricks to cheat out, an extra mana. So I probably want to go bag of tricks and Jaguar here.
Sounds good.
So doing that in preparation that next turn, I'm probably going to go Shield Bearer to the Jaguar to take his Marshwalker down. But again, we need to see what he comes out with. But that's the initial play that we're looking at.
Yeah, and we always know wait, no, I'm confused about this. Doesn't have a bag, but only played Marshwalker last turn. Am I?
Oh, I missed that.
Yeah, that's weird.
No, he
So
must have used his bag.
yeah, okay, interesting. But gonna actually use
Oh,
the Staff of Roots to get the trade there.
uh,
Awaken.
Oh, visual bug bags are bugged. Okay, got it.
okay. All right. So here we have a good shot. If you put the Drider Sail Weaver out, it's a 2/2. We're currently the two creatures our opponent has to trade into it to kill it. So we could start with the Sail Weaver, and then we could Shield Bearer it as well to really put it out of reach, and that way it's not confused. It's gonna eat that Marshwalker, even if his Marshwalker doesn't attack our creature and just goes face. And then at this point, we have a consideration of whether or not we want to put the Travel Orc out. And I think it's a good play now because what that does is it widens the field against his Leech Life. But also, if he wants to take out the Travel Orc, he'll have to commit 2 of his creatures because we have 2 health.
Excellent. Yeah, I agree with that. This is nice board state to be looking at.
So now what we've accomplished is we've emptied the hand. We have an Ionar Void of 1 creature. So we have an opportunity to forge next turn with the bag, or see what we have next.
Yeah, it's very important to keep an eye on what your void is at. Sometimes, if I can remember, I kind of just like to passively put my cursor on the void when I'm playing forage frequently.
Yeah, that's a good idea. That was a good play on his part. That a Marine is a really strong card, so that's good that he traded that. All right, so if you look at our void, I think we have 3, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we have 2 options here. We can trade the Orc into the Marine and get rid of that. What that does is if we play our Skeleton Heavy, his Leech Life only does 2 damage, and his Marshwalker will do 1 damage, and we have 4 health on our Skeleton Heavy. So that's a consideration. We could even use the Orc to the Marshwalker and get a free trade. But I'd probably like to take out his Marine.
Okay.
Uh,
Do we want to
yeah,
forage first, or
yeah, go ahead and forage first too. Sorry. Yeah, go ahead and forage first. Always try to forage first.
do we get Firewine? Okay, so we're gonna trade
Okay,
the
here we
Marine
go.
in, and then we're gonna token out the Heavy, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I think I may have personally traded the Broccoli, but I don't know. It's hard to say. But I do, one thing I just want to reiterate is when we have the ability to forage, or we plan on foraging in the turn, always do it at the start of your turn, because the card you draw might be a better play than what you thought up. But yeah, it's kind of can go either way with what happens here with that trade. It's really hard to know if that's gonna which one will be more beneficial. But as Prof said, we're taking the 2 from Leech here, and this can't finish it off, so it is nice.
Answer the call.
Are you still there, Professor?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, got
Yeah,
it.
so now we have two options, right? We could Panacea and Messenger are we're gonna forage first.
Okay.
But we could heal our well actually yeah, let's go ahead and do that. Yep.
So you want to heal up
let's
the...
yeah, heal up the Skeleton Heavy and trade it into the Spring Bloom Hunter.
I like it. My type of play right there. Value. And we got a Cryodyne Trident. Blitz, Leech, and after your god attacks, this relic gets +1 strength. Yeah, I'm interested to know what those patch notes say. Interested to know.
Okay, so I'm probably thinking about Trident and the Nobleborn. But let's see. How the Trident is 1 attack, right?
Yes.
Yeah, 1 attack. Okay. So let's go ahead and probably put the Nobleborn buff on the Panacean Messenger.
Mhm.
We have to take out that Wolfhound just because it's gonna give him value next turn.
Yeah, that. Good. And then
Yeah, we have to. Yeah, we have to equip the Trident and get it buffed up so we could hit the broccoli 1 time
okay,
and get it to attack.
got it.
And how many cards we have in our void?
2 right now.
Okay.
Yeah, and since we have the leech, it actually evens out. We don't really take damage on that, and then we get prepared for our coming turns having a little bit more power on it. This is a really nice card. I didn't even know it was core, to be honest. That is what it shows. I thought for sure this was from Genesis or something. Oh, it's Etherbots? Okay.
Oh, is that an Ether bot card?
Yeah, I mean, I never see this card outside of Forage, so that would make sense.
Yeah, let's go ahead and forage right away. I think we have 4, right?
We have 3 right now.
3. Okay, yeah, go ahead and forage. See what we get.
Ooh,
Okay, another weapon.
the
All right, so
Faeflame.
for now, yeah, so all we can do now is drop the Jaguar and then the Card Shark.
Mm-hmm. And then what do you
We
think?
want to hit.
Oh, good.
I was thinking we hit the Marshwalker because it's going to regen. It's going to eat one of the 1/1s, so at least hitting it. And then now we have a 3 attack Trident for next turn to take out one of his 2 3s.
Sounds good to me, and we actually gain health on it, so Dan the Dev, what is going on? Alright, we'll go ahead and pass turn then. And we may as well be using all these charges because we're healing off of it and we have a Faeflame in hand, so.
That's correct.
Yeah, interesting though that this Etherbots card shows as core on the that is core, right? Or am I? Yeah, it shows as core on the cards marking, set marking. Yeah, I thought Etherbots did have its own marking, but I could be wrong there.
Yeah, I think the Etherbot marking might show up in the collection side, but I think in game
Okay, I can do
it shows
this.
up as core for some reason.
Got it. All right, so
Answer the
So
call.
we definitely want to forage to find an answer for that Green Giant.
yeah, we have there's an Imperious Smite in the sideboard, but we don't have enough for that. So let's
Yeah, we
forage here.
don't. Yeah.
Hmm.
So we just swing into his Panacean Messenger. and then go face with the card shark,
Okay,
and probably
so kill this with the
yeah,
weapon?
go ahead.
Okay.
Yep, and then go face with the card shark, and then equip the Fayfane blade, just so that way in case next we're just using our mana at this point here.
Oh, target confused. Okay. Be more
Yeah,
confused.
yeah, it's already confused. What does the Blessing of Nature say?
4 favor and give 2 regen to one of your
Okay.
creatures.
No, we don't need that yet. Go ahead and just pass.
Yeah, we unfortunately it won't get us to any of the cards in the Sanctum. They are all quite expensive. Does not hit the card shark, which isn't too bad of a thing because it has overkill anyways. The rest of the damage will go to our face.
Right.
Refills the hand with the Born Again.
Yeah, that's a good counter to forage right now. Let's go ahead and forage again.
Whoa.
Okay, so that's for next turn. Let's go ahead and at this point we just need to kind of stall. We could probably Canopy Barrage and just hope we hit at least a 4/4. So do 4
Yeah.
damage Canopy Barrage.
Let's go. Sometimes lucky. And then you want to
Yeah,
throw
and
this
then,
card shark?
Yes. And then yeah, just play that Blessing of Nature just to get some more favor.
Okay, well,
And to just any one of them doesn't matter. Yeah.
okay.
And then go face with the card shark, and then swing 1 time. We're just trying to generate that favor to get that
Okay, go
smite.
face.
Yeah.
Okay,
And
Did-
then that's good.
all right,
You can only go once. Yeah,
Got
you
it, got
can't
it.
go face twice. Yeah.
got it. Awesome.
So next turn, if we swing once with the Fayfane blade to the face, we could buy that smite
Mm-hmm.
because we should be able to generate 3 extra favor for 28.
Answer the call.
So let's go ahead and swing. So the smite is 28 favor, right?
Yeah,
In the Sanctum. Yeah. So and then how many cards do we have in our void?
5. So
Okay, so that went a little bit over. We're not gonna get a card with our forge, but we could probably forge at the end of the turn. So let's go ahead and swing once with the Fayfane blade to the face.
one. So
Buy
we-
this.
yeah.
Buy
Oh.
the smite.
One thing I'm seeing is we can photogenesis, refresh 6 mana, and then cast the smite. Do you want to do that?
All right. Yeah. Good. Yeah. Go for it.
I still think we smite here.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. We have to get that giant off the board.
And then just
We could throw that torchbearer down.
okay. And then you want to just hold our charges now, right?
Yeah. Just hold it.
I'm running out of time.
All right. We got a Dionysus if we can make it.
Yeah, so the one thing about Forge is, as a new player, you'll start encountering cards that you haven't seen. So you want to start mousing over your cards and learning about them on your opponent's turn. So, for example, that Selena's Insight, I actually haven't seen that often myself because it's from the trials. Okay, so that's if you have a big creature on board.
Yeah. Yeah, it works as an effective board clear when you have one strong creature and they have many lower attack and health ones.
Right.
So Specialist Forces, this draws 3 cards, which we hopefully won't have to use, but would have been nice to get something else here.
How many creatures in our void?
You know what we can do? Oh, it's too much mana. Oh, if we had 1 more mana, we could have Janissaried and then Selena's Insight, because our creature would survive and it would destroy the other ones. It has to kill.
How many creatures?
Sorry, go ahead.
Well, how many's in our void? 7? Oh, that's a lot. Okay. We want to start thinking about emptying our void, but go ahead and attack. Swing twice at the Spring Bloom Hunter with your sword. and then you want to Frenzied Ritual before you Janissary, and then Janissary,
Look at the plays.
and then Janissary and kill that Bard.
Wow. Taking us to 5, but we are still alive. Nice play there.
Yeah, it's okay to go a little bit low. I mean, if he has the goat, I mean, we lose. But other than the goat, nature doesn't have direct damage to the face, so you can go pretty low, and just be mindful of the goat. And the best thing you can do is try to have creatures on board to divert it. But because because we know that nature doesn't have burn to the face, we could go low. I mean, we just want to play for the win, basically.
All right. Another Managmar. I don't know how. Oh, drew it from playing
Yeah,
This is
Born
not
Again.
fair.
born again. Yeah.
My turn.
Let's see here. So I think what we can do here is we could try to go. Yeah, that's it. I think this is it. Yeah, I
Yeah.
don't see anything to get out of this. Yeah, and I
This is
think our void went out of.
confused. Oh, but it will die to Leech Life, right? Uh,
Yeah. He'll leech us, and then he just goes face.
so I
But
think we
it's
can.
fine. You could.
Let's go ahead and try this though. Let's kill the 2/2, and then let's just play the B speaker because um, this still might be confused and hit here. So that's like our only out, I
That's
think.
enough for now.
I don't think there's any other play here.
Yeah. No. You're right.
Hmm.
Yeah, unfortunately, not the ideal matchup here. It's much nicer to be able to have your board fill up in the start of the game first. All right, that's gonna be it though, because the Leech Life will guarantee lethal to Managmar and the Panassian Messenger.
Right on.
All right, well 0-1 to start, but we're gonna give it. Do you have time to give it another go or two?
Yeah, let's go one more.
Okay.
Um,
All right. So, oh, sorry, that's a wrong way. I'm just gonna rewrite history there. It was a win. It was a win. But yeah, so 0-1, but let's try that again. We're also playing at 1460, a little bit high to be playing this list, but yeah, GG's. All right.
okay, so the stream closed down on my
Oh,
end.
yeah. Let me I'll jump into another game and then oh yeah, take a break to look at patch notes real quick. Sure, we can do that. Where are these at? So balance updates. Let me click this. I'll go ahead and share this, and I'll share that to you as well. Here we go. All right, so are you able to see that, Professor?
Yes.
All right, so balance update for today. So I guess I can actually night mode this for everyone, so it's not so rough to look at. So it looks like oh, it's the final list of card changes for Trials of the Gods. Let me.
Oh,
So looks like yeah, it looks like it's going to be. So what's on the menu? We got a few nerfs and buffs. We are slightly downpowering some cards to get them in line with expectations, and also adding affiliation tribes to 4 cards. That's exciting.
wow.
All right, let's take a look. Here's the list of nerfs. So it looks like Dionys Spectral Septic reduced strength by 1, so from 3/3 to 2/3, and that's the card that I believe this card draws 2 cards if you're below 15 health. Is that correct?
I think you click on it. It should pop up. Yeah, there you go.
Okay. Oh yeah, I have to undo it on this
Oh,
page to read.
okay.
We're probably gonna have to just deal with the white background. I'm sorry, everybody, but um, yeah. So if your god has 15 or less health, draw 2 cards, bringing that down a little bit. Looks like Return to the Cave reduced healing by 2, so gonna heal for
Wow.
10.
Okay.
Um,
Oh, hiding a refrader. Wow.
Yeah. So yeah, Hydna's getting a little nerf there.
Wow, that's actually pretty impactful for that card.
Let's see, so Dionysus, reduce the number of cards added by 2. Okay, wait, it used to add 9. That's kind of absurd anyways, so 7 seems fitting. I I don't even it's a nerf, but all it is making the card reasonable. It's 9 is excessive, so Cogtortion, please let me buy more trials packs now. Maybe soon. We'll see. I think today's Wednesday. We're gonna have to see how long it takes them to get packs out. But yeah, these what do you feel about these nerfs in general? Were these necessary in your opinion? I think the Dionysus one is completely reasonable. I don't think many people even notice that. But what about these other ones?
Yeah. Yeah, I think Dionysus was, I mean, at that point, the biggest impact is that 4 damage, and then the 2 extra cards. I mean, it's all random, so I mean, 7 cards is still a lot of cards to get. So I think it's a small impact. Maybe in a control versus control matchup, it'll have a bigger impact. But most of the time, if you're playing control with Dionysus against somebody else, you getting 9 random cards versus 7 random cards, I think it's a small difference.
Yeah, yeah, I think
I guess what I'm saying is it's still playable. It's still playable.
yeah, I think hidden like going from 4/5 to 4/4 and may be fairly significant for that card. I think having that one extra
Yeah.
health really bumps it up. Like it just gives it so much more survivability, kind of like what you were talking about with Balthazar, where if or someone said if it was a 2/3, it would be played so much more. And that's I wonder how what that will do if we'll see a lot less hidden or not.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that one's a significant nerf, but we'll see how it plays out.
Yeah,
Return to the cave. I think Death had so much heals already. 2 points could be fairly impactful. So I'm not really sure how the Death. I don't play Death that much, so I'm not really sure how the Death player feels of losing 2 health. Um, so it's hard for me to make a call on that one. In some cases, that 2 health. But then again, there's a incoming nerf with Soulburn. So honestly, that one is it's hard for me to make a call on that one.
yeah, fair. And then uh, the Dionysus, this one, this one's interesting. Um, I don't think this is that big of a deal. I think that the biggest thing is, you're drawing 2 cards with a body.
Yeah,
I think it being a 2/3 is, I'm not sure that's going to change too much. So, if they've been looking at maybe, data and thinking that it just is too powerful to have that big of a body, then that seems like a reasonable change. Um,
yeah, I agree. I think the card draws the play for that card.
So buffs and changes. So Student of Truth. This is the 3/2 after you draw a card, gain 4 favor for 2. This has gotten Mystic, it looks like. Is that what that said? Yeah, has added Mystic affiliation / tribe. Let's see what else here. Student of Society gets Guild. So after you summon a creature, gain 2 favor. That's interesting. That might be. I know there's a Deception guild list, right? I think some of the cards and main cards in Deception, like Jinxblade Duelist, are guild, so maybe have some impact
Right.
there. What else here? Student of Blades has added the Olympian affiliation.
Yeah, it's funny. The way the art was drawn in these cards, I almost felt like there was already a tribe tag on them.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
like
interesting.
basically it fits the
Yeah,
drawing and the like. It almost feels like that was already a guild card.
yeah, interesting. So then Hooded Figure gets the Anubian affiliation. Interesting. Huh.
Yeah, I don't know. A Nubian Deception.
Yeah, I don't. Is there any interaction there? Maybe they have Maybe some of this has to do with what's getting printed in the next set too. You never know. It could be setting up some foreshadowing for what we're gonna see.
Yeah,
And then,
and then cool.
yeah, Cruel Overseer just got a typo fix from Impling to Impling. So other than that, it looks like that's it. Um, yeah, let's jump into one more game before you have to get going, and yeah, let's do that now.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, let's see if we can redeem ourselves and get it tied up to 1-1 with the list. We are playing, just to so everyone keeps it in mind, it's not that the list is bad. We are playing at 1460 Mythic, or we were playing at 1460 Mythic with a list that's much more intended for grinding out quick games at lower ranks.
Yeah, and really the point of the deck is you want to go through a lot of games because overall you'll see that it's a positive win rate, and win or lose it's not an issue really, because you're really you're focusing on multiple games, and you're really trying to maximize the XP that you're earning.
All right, Kodo, you have a good night. Thanks for stopping by. Always nice to have you present for the streams. All right, we're grabbing Forage again. See if we can get some luck with that. Sometimes the cards are crazy. The last one wasn't bad. Ooh. So we're going up. Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead. No, go ahead. What you're saying.
Oh, I was just gonna say we're
This
going
looks
up
good to me,
against
but
Summon Beast, and one thing I really like here is the Marshwalker. Marshwalker and Hog are both high health bodies, and the Field Janissary into the Marshwalker is strong. What are your thoughts here? Do you want to throw anything back?
No, I think this is fine. You have 2/1 drops, so you're going second. We could go bag out 2/1 drops if we need to. So I think this is a good starting hand.
Okay, yeah, I'm right there with you. This looks nice.
The calm before the storm.
Ooh.
Yeah, so this is even better now. So yeah, so definitely throw out Marshwalker and the Hog.
Okay.
And now we could even go double buff on the next turn.
Do you? Oh yeah, because the bad thing about going normally Shield Bearer onto Broccoli is one of the strongest turn ones you can have. But what that would allow for, because it makes it a 2/5. But one thing I am a little bit worried about is the potential of I guess it would have been a good play because we would have had the Shield Bearer for Canopy Barrage. But yeah, let's see how this unfolds though. Yeah, I'm a huge fan of Shield Bearing my Broccoli. That card sometimes will just stay on the field the entire game.
Yeah, so I'm right away. I'm thinking, we do double buffs. Oh, okay. So I think we could go.
Do you like the Eager Nobleborn onto the Marshwalker to kill the Jag?
Jaguar. Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Okay. Yeah, let's hit that one. Really nice. I actually have never played this card, and that is some value right there. Look at that. And then we'll regen that up. What do you think about coining out Shield Bearer or
There's some point. No need at this point, because even if we buff the Hog, it's not going to kill the Marshwalker yet.
Mm-hmm.
So we might see something better to trade with later. So let's just go ahead and attack with the Hog wherever it wants to go.
Okay, one thing I'm thinking too is we could buff the Eagle or the Eager Nobleborn to keep it out of Marshwalker trade range, but then the Marshwalker ends up killing the Shield Bearer, so I don't know if it's a strong play.
Actually, yeah, there's a case for that. Well, so now it's the same thing. He's down to 2 health. Whatever he trades into, his Marshwalker could die. But yeah, it's up to you. Totally your call if you want to Shield Bearer out or not.
I don't think I want to now because now that the Hog is hit, it doesn't regen until the next turn, so he'd lose it trading into the Eager Nobleborn. I think if that had gone face, I would have wanted to play the Shield Bearer, but not in this case.
Right. At this point, we don't really care what it hits.
Mm-hmm. Well, I do love my Broccoli, so...
So now we could build a really big Broccoli if you want. We don't need to forge yet. We only have 2 cards in our void, so we could go Janissary and Shield Bearer into the Broccoli and just make like a giant one.
I love it. Let's make giant Broccolis. We are about the Broccoli on this stream. What a menacing Broccoli. Going in for 3, and then we'll regen up to 3/5.
Yeah, so I think definitely next turn we want to think about starting to use Forage into our turns, because you can see we're low cards in hand, and we want to start managing our void better.
Yeah, absolutely. We need to make sure that we forage next. Yeah, so we don't know if they have the bag or not, right? Due to this visual bug. So if they do have the bag, we could get hunted, but I think it would have happened already.
That's true.
I think it would have happened already.
Yeah, that's true. No.
Oh. Oh, okay, come on, broccoli. You can survive this. Let's go. Let's go. And the broccoli makes it, and we still have 4 cards in the void, so we can forage off the bat.
All right.
Staff fruits, interesting.
Yeah, I think we want to throw a body onto the board.
Yeah.
We don't want to leave the Marshwalker by itself.
Yeah, so let's throw the Axelman, and then we'll go ahead and pass.
It's the circle of
This is all calculated. Oh no. Not my
Ooh,
broccoli.
that's tough.
Not like
Yeah,
this.
that's rough.
No.
Yeah, so good thing for us is we have a canopy in hand.
awakening.
Making a shadow jags over here. Yeah, we have double
So we could
canopy.
Yeah, we probably want to forge first. Wait. Okay, yeah, that's fine. Ooh. Okay, so let's go ahead and just canopy. Then we could probably bag out Hippolyta next turn.
Okay. Do you think it's worthwhile bagging out a Staff of Roots now, or is that just a waste of mana?
Well, so, yeah, I don't know. I mean, that's a consideration.
Yo, Anti-Electron with the Prime sub, thank you so much. Really appreciate that. We're only 9 subs away from the face cam sub goal. I've been getting stuff ready for that. But okay, sorry.
Yeah.
Let me.
You're right. I think you're right. Because if you think about it, we already have a plan for using all 6 mana next turn, so we could go ahead and be efficient with our 1 left over and equip our Staff of Roots.
Okay, let's go ahead and do that now. Put the Staff of Roots on, and we will pass. Yeah, sub hype. Thank you so much. Yeah, check out the new the subs the emotes that we have. We just got a new one. The trash packs for when you get that unfortunate pack. So, what are the thoughts here? We wanna get the Hippolyta down, right? And we're gonna.
Yes. Take out, yeah, give it Blitz and Protected,
Okay.
and take out the Jaguar, and then go face with the Axewoman.
Okay.
Are you thinking about taking out the Battlesworn?
Yeah, I like this better though. I think. Yeah,
Yeah,
take
'cause-
out the drag, and then we'll go facer because yeah. I think this
Yeah,
is
because
fun.
we have a canopy. We have a canopy, and we'll probably have 1 minion and 1 canopy to take care of.
I'm gonna go
another,
face.
No,
Okay.
no, no, save.
Running out of
We have another.
No, no, save it because.
Okay.
Oh, I just save it for now.
Okay.
So we have a canopy to take out that Battlesworn,
hmm
so he'll be at 4.
Perfect. Perfect. Adding
Yeah,
value.
you're right. Yeah, you're right. We can start swinging with our staff. I wanted to see if he was going to put another creature out there.
All right. So what I'm thinking here is the Axelman goes in, we trade with face, and then throw a barrage. Does that make sense?
Yeah, let's check our void first though.
To
Yeah, so you could probably forge first and do the play. Go ahead and just do the
we got a bull.
bull for next turn.
Oh, and it looks like a. Ooh, interesting. A Revivification and an Arrow of Rage in there. Do we want to just we want to hit face and play another staff or play the hog?
Hog hit face to summon the.
Okay,
I'm
I like
running
it.
out of time.
And we are stack in favor here. We could reviv and draw a card. What do you think about that?
Let's hold off because
Okay.
I want to see if we might need the Arrow of Rage.
We must find peace.
Yeah, I think I'm just foraging at the beginning of the turn. That being said, we probably should have played something to get this to the point where this can't go to 5. Because right now this is at 4 after this dies. And yeah, okay, we got lucky there. But This is rough because I do want to forage here, but I also want to play the bull. What are your thoughts? We have the
Yeah,
life.
I think we go with the bull. If he, yeah, so if he takes out the bull, which I think at the way he's showing the board right now, it's a little tough for him to do that. So I think we should play the bull instead of because if you forge, what else are you gonna follow up with?
Yeah, but he can kill it. Oh yeah, he's only got 6 there. That's a good point. You got a good point. Okay, let's do that. Let's do that, and then we're just gonna pass because if this will just
Yeah,
die.
yeah, yeah, correct.
I will not back down. Nature is often
All right,
unpredictable.
the goat comes out.
Go, yep.
This is unfortunate. This is unfortunate.
So now we're at 5 on our void, and then
6 now.
I think if we born again, yeah,
Yep.
yeah, this is gonna be tough. We're gonna have to born again. I mean, sorry, yeah, we have to born again and just pull what we can, and take damage this turn because we don't have any other play at this point.
Okay.
Because we can't forge for cards because we're at 5, right?
Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah, it's kind of a desperation play on our part, but I
Now I
mean,
must
it is
And
what
then
it is. at this
Throw
point.
hog.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, unfortunately, won't be able to like make use of forage. Being able to forage on the same turn would have been nice to be able to get the rest of those cards out of there. I think there is some merit to what Natamali was saying about potentially when we forage in the turn, what we have played to try to keep that
Oh yeah.
our void count
Yeah.
as low as possible. So I think like we finished with the face and that put the staff of roots in there. There's probably some moves we could have done beforehand and then forage to have a more optimal void management go on. But it's also we're trying to communicate across here and make plays. So sometimes we run out of time to think about these things until afterwards.
Yeah, definitely. Like that's one of the things when you're playing this deck is you kind of build that rhythm of knowing that okay, if you play a card here, you could go ahead and use that card, let it go to the void, and then forge afterwards. You don't have to always
Out for the call.
forge right away at the beginning. You know, there's definitely options to be able to change the order around. Yeah, just I mean, again, at this point, you know, we're on our back end here, so it's gonna be tough. So we're gonna have to just throw the bull and the
The Drider.
we're in a tough spot at this point.
Yeah.
So normally, you know, if you're just playing alone at yourself, like this is probably a spot where at this deck, there's really tough comeback mechanisms. The void has gotten sort of a little bit out of your forage range, and you're getting low, and your opponent has overwhelming control. This is probably like where I would just concede and go into the next one and just go through as many games as possible. Because like I said, like at this point, it's tough when you're facing a board like this.
Yeah, we don't have so one thing that's been rough about our 2 games is we played against pretty much like a heavier mid game nature list both times. So
My turn.
yeah, and
Yeah.
we'll just for funsies we'll just throw some cards out. How am I gonna do
Oh yeah,
this?
you never give up. So yeah,
I guess it doesn't matter what order I play these 2 in. I'll play.
yeah, it's gonna be a 3/2 regardless. So you can throw the orc first.
Yeah. All right, so we'll let them get the win. But yeah, it's when you're trying to just get packs, like it doesn't really matter. The whole entire thing about a rank, unless it's ranked weekend, doesn't matter. You get the same amount of XP at any rank for a win as you do, at Mythic. So just getting the games in as quickly as you can to unlock those packs is what you want to focus on for sure.
Yeah, so one thing that I mentioned earlier was sort of the true rank. So at this deck, we're really restrictive in what we put in the deck. We didn't put any legendaries in there. We just wanted to kind of keep it cheap and low. And so because of that, you're focusing on you're playing with a little bit of a handicap, which is fine because again, I think you want to be able to play your true rank depending on the card collection you have. This deck is a great deck when you're first starting out to really build up, that collection. But once you build up that collection, as we've seen from previous ranked weekend events, there's your options open up. Um, so this is one of those decks where it's like, it's fairly quick, and you just kind of go through. You'll know if you're losing right away, and then you kind of just go to the next one. But I don't want you to drop out of your mythic, Lion. So
It's fine. I don't mind it. It's fine, but yeah, I think it was good to showcase. It's kind of hard for me to showcase this, right? Because I'm at like 1460, and this, like you were talking about, these cards just don't really hold up at this rating. But one thing I do want to say, it can get wins at Mythic. It absolutely can, especially if you play it right. The thing that was very unfortunate about this is we played another nature list that just focused on a little bit higher curve than us. So cards like Hunt are especially hard to deal with. Astric Implosion especially hard to deal with, and the other player was able to clear the board with canopies and trades, but then still drop the bigger creatures and the board clears that we didn't put in this list. So, there's if you're a nature player, you can check out some of Natamali's lists. You can check out our rendition of both Devoted and Burvy's list. And there's a lot of options for you. The one thing I just want to make sure people know is this is something that's focused for getting packs and getting through games. When you're starting out. But yeah, everything needs to be adapted and improved over time. Wish I could have showed it against some other lists, but yeah, it's a good list to start out with. So definitely take a look at it.
yeah, so definitely, I think in closing, I'd recommend people just try it out, and see if it fits your play style. Be free and open about making substitutions, and seeing what works for you and what doesn't. Um, and definitely play to your own strengths.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. And like, there's card substitutions that can be made as you get better cards. You can replace stuff. I played a version kind of like this. I think mine was a little bit more mid-rangey, but it focused on the Firewine. And it played like once I got them, the Overgrown Rhinos, the 5/5 for 4, and there's like different ways you can build it. But either way, these zoo lists are a lot of fun. And when you get a big board and get a satyr down, it can be a lot of fun. But yeah, I just wanted to say, Professor, thank you so much for coming on and doing the segment with me. It was so nice to be able to sit down, play some games with you, and just be able to ask you questions I've been wondering since I started. So thanks for that.
Yeah, you're welcome. And again, thank you and everyone that tuned in. Appreciate you having me over and asking questions. I think really I like what you're doing. You're trying to help the community out as well. Not only you're streaming and entertaining, but you're also um, trying to do your best to help your viewers. So I think I really appreciate that, and definitely want to support you in doing that. So um, you know, thank you again. Back